momentum. But when you're battling against teams in this kind of position on the scoreboard, hey, this is when you kind of got to make your mark. But we'll go into the bans. Now, I've already kind of asked you a little bit about map bans, but is there trends of operators? Are we seeing target bans? Give me all your information.
I think we've seen a lot of Capitao bans recently. I'm not sure, honestly. Here, we'll see what they want to ban out first. But a T3H ban of Jackals, definitely no surprise here on Villa. It's pretty roam heavy map, and you do see a lot of like kind of like Pulse and Valkyrie roam downstairs with that Nitro plant denial. So I guess we'll see how that does work out.
Well, we've got the quick bans coming through. These guys are very decisive. Capitao, there, get him off the table. As you said, he's being taken out most games and most kind of balance. And it's fair with how powerful he is at the minute in a lot of metas and a lot of kind of when you're not really sure of how you want to go up against a team. And there's another one, Maestro, taken out of his home turf as well. And he is an absolute monster on this map, in all fairness.
Yeah, also no surprise from Penta to be banning that because Aztec is known as quite deadly on the Maestro from T3H. So definitely no surprise to see the Maestro get banned now. The Mirror will be banned. That means that Echo is allowed on the board, which is kind of rare on Villa, honestly.
Yeah, there's a lot of really nice places to kind of dig echo drones in, especially with how kind of tall and destructible the walls can be. You can get really nice sight lines across if you need to trick or just feed information. And there's so many places to catch out a push as well. If you kind of, look at the breaking in from the southern balcony or across even the kind of bedroom side, there's always a bit of space before you can kind of get to those hard walls. And a nice placed echo drone combined with some smart flanking or some vertical play can really, well, C4s and nightmares are a common thing to be seen on here. Talking to the point, Aviator Games is where we're going to open up. Valk swapped for Bandit and Ash for IQ with, I guess they're trying to respond to the Valk pick there and the Echo and bring in the IQ, but obviously Valk is now swapped out for a smart move, I would say, on the Bandit.
Yeah, I think with the Jackal ban, it does make a lot of sense to bring the Valkyrie, and even if the IQ, like, you have to bring an IQ here if Echo is up, right? So, I think it's just kind of like, yeah, you should be bringing a Bandit, I guess, for the kind of hard breach denial. I would have still liked to see a Valkyrie. I'm not really sure if the Legion's really essential here, though.
No, that's understandable. And I think, to be fair, what would be good with Valkyrie instead of Legion here is because you're getting those sight lines anyway. Those cameras are tricky to see when there's when you're on the kind of 90 wall or you're kind of pushing up white stairs or red stairs across landing. Having a camera there is just as good, if not way better at getting all the information than Legion could be in terms of getting the little bit of information and slowing and denying. Yes, Legion is that operator that is good on any point and every point, but if you get clever with information on this map, especially with the long sight lines you can set up and the absolute crossfires from hell, it's a shame kind of not to see her, but I feel like she'll raise her head a few times, Valkyrie, throughout this.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, like Pulse Valkyrie, definitely big picks, especially with the Jackal ban. I think is kind of central to that. And maybe when T3H move into the further rounds, we'll see a little bit more of that. But we'll see how the rest of it does go down, and we'll see what Penta want to do. It looks like they're going for that master side take, and with the lineup, it's pretty versatile from them. Gridlock's kind of interesting for Villa, I think.
Would you have swapped that for a Nomad? I'm assuming they're going to try and use it to cover, obviously, stair rotations and make sure someone can't get in behind them unknown, because this map is pretty terrifying for roams, but would you swap it for a Nomad?
I think this is more just to shut down any potential flanking, because, like, think about it this way, like, Nomad, you kind of have to act on it. You have to, like, be there to actually kill someone from the edge up. But this gives you a lot more of that kind of like passive damage. It gives you a little bit more of that interference, and they have to shoot it or like interact with it a lot more if they really want to break through that sightline. And also, you get smokes with Gridlock, and she gets a decent amount of utility in terms of the secondary shotgun as well. So there's a lot definitely going on with Gridlock. So I think it's kind of fair to bring either one, but they're definitely worried about those flanks.
There was also the Nightmare Gridlock play that I think it was Karzeka went through the other night. Where it was trapped outside of Coastline, went to one door, it was gridlocked, and the second, and it was gridlocked, and it was this whole nightmare of, yeah, that's what she can do, because she can be so effective at really just pulling people to an end, because you said they've got to make a huge amount of noise to get through, but Panda is already kind of holding up, and this is where bandit tricking that wall becomes so hard, because if you don't have a good lock on landing, they can really easily just swing and get the angle. You can see the Echo is trying to get some information, and Midnight is the one that's going to try and creep round, but is instantly going to be met by those tracks on red stairs, and they're just kind of setting up against landing, trying to get control of 90, and it looks like they want to crack open Vault and push the landing side so far.
Yeah, the very, very heavily bunched up Penta could be in for a bit of a disaster. No impact trigger could be set up on that 90 wall, however, it looks like it's going to get open. Midnight looking for that flank. It is going to start to get opened up. Oh, she gets around! She doesn't even interact with it, and Tiffy goes down! And this is not good at all. Midnight, satisfied with that first pick, just falls off, and only 20 seconds left to go on the clock. This is going to be a pretty heavy rush from Penta if they really make something happen here. They do have that 90 wall open, and the Vault wall is, of course, an entry point for them. But Sunny opts to go through the games room door instead, actually, to try and make something happen. But everything is set up here for T3H. Midnight scores yet another kill, and Panda scores one of her own. It's a 5v2. It's all a disaster, and it's all T3H as they score a flawless round on the first defense here on Villa.
Wow. They wanted a big opening and they got it. You could see, obviously, the moment they all kind of got there and set up across landing, and the Jaeger was creeping closer and closer, you were like, if they find a way around, this is a guaranteed 1k. It should get traded out. They were paying a bit of attention, but unfortunately not enough, as Midnight just tore through them and found another couple of kills there. I think you were right there. T3H just kind of stumbled. They had a plan. It was to get into Vault, but they were just a bit slow to get enough control to feel comfortable. And if I'm honest, it never really looked like they were. They trusted those tracks, and well, they just did not come through for them that time.
Didn't come through for them at all. We'll see a pulse finally being brought here from Lua and opt for the smoke instead. But a great starting round for T3H will see them go into the dining room, surprisingly.
I've seen this from a couple of teams recently, where they'll kind of opt for a ground floor point in one of the first two places, and I think it kind of ties back to what I was saying about Villa, is like it's one of those maps that's still quite strategically deep. Is at the beginning, obviously the top two floor points are often cited as the best and most defendable. You can kind of set up really nice sight lines and angles, but the control of vertical that we've kind of seen counterbalanced with the absolute depth and magnitude of this map has really kind of made this point shine quite a lot. You still never see library. Nobody cares for that side, but kitchen for... okay, some French teams care for library. But
it's a
I don't
forgotten
know.
part of the world. Yeah, they do care about library.
You know, but nobody reads books anymore. Everyone's too busy in the kitchen. As we start to see the second push here from Penta TV, I'm hoping they're a little bit sharper. If anything, that first round should have kind of been a bit of a wake-up to go, okay, we need to get control and we need to get it much quicker. Because that's the thing about Villa. It is such a big map.
Yeah. It can be pretty big. I think the big thing with this particular area, though, is that you don't really need that much control to actually get away with stuff. Like, all you really need is master and laundry control, and you can get away with the plant. I think that's a big issue with not bringing a smoke here, is it's quite hard for you to deny the plant once they are actually in the site. So I'm guessing T3H are kind of just hoping to use this pulse to be able to help their roams a little bit. And yeah, they are playing pretty roam-heavy strategy, and they know what they need to keep control of here. Although, interested they would reinforce this master wall, because this actually doesn't open up any sight lines that they really ought to need into master.
I am waiting for this C4. I am bated breath. Lua, please, let loose and take care of them. You see them, you know them. I know you're doing pings and information, but they are gathering above you. There it goes, and there is the... Oh, it was almost a double. A single kill. Great impact. The amount of damage that went through onto the Ash, and a great combination there. If Panda finds another, drops them, and that is a good hold. Izzy with one more. Suddenly a 5 versus 2 now. And that Thatcher is looking a little bit lost, as it is now down to the pair of information electronic slowers. Ooh, great swing to shut down Midnight behind Astro Table, and going to try and close across the trophy side. See if they can get one more, and there is bringing it back. Tyne finds 1-2, and this is a pretty good response from the two operators.
Yeah, pretty good response indeed. It's like Izzy's going to fall off, just a little bit hesitant about wanting to fight that continually, as Tina has managed to gain over this control of the top floor. But they don't really have too much utility to do with this. They do have breach charges to be able to open up that vertical play, but I think they'll probably be pretty aware of this pulse Is of course Lua still pulse scanning it out and seeing what she can do here. Leisure Mine's getting detonated in heavy amounts. Kind of ironic here for an IQ and a Thatcher to be get caught out by Leisure Mines.
Yeah, I guess when the panic hits and you kind of realize, oh, we're gunners now. We've got to gun through 5 pretty stacked defenders that flawlessed us previously. It can get to you. Aztec pushes wide. Great understanding. Pretty poor reactions there. Does get the refrag. It's now in a 2 versus 1, but with 10 seconds and a complete solid hold left on this base point. Well, it was only really going to end one way, unfortunately. Great attempt, though, from the pair, IQ and Thatcher.
Yeah, I feel like there was a little bit of overextending there from Penta. I mean, they really had everything they really needed there. Like, I think the big misplay from T3H was reinforcing the Master Wall to allow their roamers to play safer. But as I said, you really only need that Master Control because that allows you to give the vertical pressure that allows you to actually really go for that plant. So I think that was kind of a misstep in T3H's setup there, and something that Penta didn't really abuse at all. But that will be an offside that is won by T3H now, and they're looking really good on Villa so far. These first 2 rounds have definitely gone well for them. Castle 6th pick over onto the pulse yet again. As we go to Trophy and Sagittary this time. Again, bringing that gridlock from Penta.
It is always fair to note, obviously, that historically Villa has been cited as a defender-sided map. It's definitely a map where your defenses get tested more than your attacks put together. And to be fair, one of the main things of that is the time. We've already kind of mentioned the sheer size of this map and how much that can kind of scamper what would otherwise be a very quick close down on a map like Coastline or Consulate, where it's very tight and very small. Villa suffers a bit by how broad and how deep it is. And I think picking up the pace can actually really kind of help, because even though it feels a little bit more chaotic, if you can get a bit of a quick step behind whatever strategy you're running as the attackers, it can kind of take defenders by surprise. And I think some of the best attack teams that we've ever seen on Villa are ones that are famously quick and sharp and aggressive, like NA gunners like Reciprocity or stuff like that. Those are the attack wins because they are fearless to a degree of just throwing themselves at the map and picking up body after body.
I don't think it's fearless. I think it's, courage, right?
Courage,
it's,
yeah.
Taking action despite fear.
Yeah, and if there was a team that amplified that, that's Team Wreck for me. I follow them on Twitter, so...
Oh,
you see the posts. Panda getting some information. The Pulse obviously played pretty well in the previous round. They're swapping the operators around. I believe it was, correct me if I'm wrong, as Lua was playing it in the previous. So it's nice to see a bit of diversity in terms of who is bringing what role. Again, it looks like Penta are being a bit slow. They're droning ahead before any of them are trying to close it down. I kind of want a bit more aggression from the Sledge here. He's going to start cracking in. They know that the Pulse is playing underneath. The drone is going for it. And this is when you put pressure onto Panda. Struggling to hit the drone, but they're not pushing with it. They're not entering the building. They're still stood outside. And you've kind of just got a little bit of cold information now. And I say as you pull out that beautiful wallbang is who needs the information when they just don't move?
Yeah, no refrag able to come through from Midnight either. So my charge fine going to get opened up. And this is looking really good for Penta right now. I mean, this is probably the best that they've looked all around. The Echo Drone, however, still in Master is able to see exactly what's going on here. That's Connie coming in below Midnight, looking for that trade from before. It's going to rotate all the way through. And some mud into China goes the pre-fire. And Isa goes down like a sack of potatoes. And now a 4v4. And that is IQ off the board. That's a big, big pick. Because that means that Echo Drone is going to stay there for the entire round. Completely unaware.
And Echo is one of those operators that if there's no one you want to meet in that final 15 seconds, it's usually him. And we've seen that final 15 seconds be the problem in these attacks from Penta TV so far. So, it's just more of a worry. There's a bit of a battle there, but Izzy actually comes out untouched. Great movement as Midnight finds another. Until to 5. Nice push there from Time just to catch Lua a little bit out. It's a 3 versus 1 now as Aztec finds another. Midnight's doing the big rotate up red. Coming back across landing, and it is just down to the Thatcher almost once again as we see them stuck in the bathroom with 30 seconds, no diffuser, and a pretty... Oh, they do have the diffuser, in fact, but it's a pretty tough plant.
Yeah, 3v1. Definitely gonna have to try and go for some kills here if she wants to make anything happening. Tina still holding on. 15 seconds left to go on the clock. And just waiting for this to rotate through into Asho. But the pressure is on her, and that Echo Drone is still indeed watching her. Barbed wire in front of the room. But no, she's not going to be able to make anything happen from Asho. She's going to get taken down by Izzy. T3H check round number 3 in the third round on the trot. Things looking very, very good for them here on Villa. But don't forget, Villa definitely one of the more defender-sided maps in the game. And now we're at that kind of 3-0 split.
Yeah, it's the thing. We're back to the kind of square one of point selection. This is where Penta DV can kind of show lessons learned. Obviously, the way they pushed this last time was from that landing side, from that opposite side. They put a lot of faith into that gridlock to cover the rotations. She's currently not on the board. Wondering if they're going to swap to something or if they're just going to try an alternate push. And so far, going with IQ and going with Thatcher has been actually a pretty nice balance for them. It looks like, yeah, they're going to stick with double hard destruction. We might potentially see a bit of split pressure here. If there's anything we've seen from T3H, as you noted before, they're sometimes a little bit wide with their roam, a little bit careless and callous. And if you can find a way to exploit that and just put a bit of pressure back on the point and catch them as they're forced back to you, that could be very, very effective.
Yeah, we've definitely seen a lot of individual roaming, especially from Midnight, but so far it's been pretty successful for T3H. We'll see how the rest of this is going to go down. A little bit of a different lineup coming out from Penta here. Opted not to bring a gridlock and not to bring any flank watch whatsoever, actually, and instead of bringing a Hibana, a second hard breach. What do you think of that?
I mean, as I said, they can use it to crack open sightlines, if they can use it to put some pressure onto the point and then just kind of force T3H's hand to be a little bit shakier, they might find some decent ground. Because at this point, T3H's core defense, the actual kind of structure, hasn't actually really ever been tested. We saw the vault wall get open, we saw the point wall get open in the previous round, but there's never been anything that T3H hasn't been able to handle. If they can start doing that from multiple different angles, using Hibana charges to open sightlines, I guess we'll see how it comes together.
We definitely will. Unfortunately, we've had a little bit of disconnect here, it looks like. I'm not sure if there's going to be a rehost here. It doesn't look like any rehost has been called yet.
Well, I think it unfortunately happened just into the round, and so I think they're just going to kind of let it go on. I guess if you've got a player who you know might have sketchy internet for the night, some teams obviously want to save the one rehost they get.
Well, we also do talk about the blood sacrifice as well.
Oh, yes.
And that can be quite critical for some teams. We've definitely seen it in the past for Spies. They definitely brought out that strategy early on.
I've seen the blood sacrifices get, not the physical, but I've not been invited to one of the actual blood sacrifices yet. Right. As the sacrificee, or just, I guess, a watcher, a bystander. But I've seen the references on Twitter. And if I'm honest, I'm wondering why it's taken so long for blood sacrifices to make it to Siege, really.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Spies have a disconnect and the TK in the same round. They played round 3v5 and still won, and they won it flawlessly. So I think that it does work, honestly. I think it's a valid strategy. But we'll see the rest of the attack does start to play out for Penta. I definitely like this change up in strategy. I think study take is definitely a bit of a way to go. But a lot of hard breach now on the round for T3H, so good adaptation from them.
Yeah, obviously, this bandit is currently not going for any kind of aggro against that. Just going to try and dig in behind the vault door and hold the angle, see if they can catch the Hibana when she rotates in, which could be a very, very good pick here. But this is exactly what I wanted Hibana to do. Make some uncomfortable positions for them on the defense. Crack open some sight lines. Don't even really worry about Hibana being too much of your access. You've still got Thermite to open really big holes, but pull them out of the positions they're comfortable in. And that's really where it's going to start to play. And you can see Zafir as well doing that from underneath. Obviously, there's still the risk that the Roma could be playing around, but you got to remember they are currently a player short. So whether that makes Midnight play a little bit closer to home, I guess we'll see. But there's 30 seconds and no ground really being put as immediate pressure.
It's trying to push through 90. Midnight still on that flank, however, on main stairs. Is definitely ready to push on to Study. They're very aware of this, but no one's gone down yet. As I say that, Panda takes down Study with a crazy headshot. That is really good for Midnight as well. She shuts down Connie and able to push down to Study as well. All the pressure being put on to T3H, but they're just fighting back. Panda takes down Tina, and it's not looking good at all. Tiffy desperate to try and get to the site and try and do something here, but T3H hold on, and they take round number 4, and their 4th consecutive round in a row. Things looking so good for them. And, you know, there's going to have to be a couple of really decisive rounds on Penta here.
Yeah, obviously we're going to pull to the rehost, and that gives, if anything, this is a good tactical timeout for Penta. They've got 2 rounds to at least try and get something on the board on their side, but I guess we'll have to see if they can get a little bit more kind of confidence in themselves.
What do you think of all of that Brimstone?
I thought it was really interesting. I mean, right off the bat, that flawless round was really good. I'm also, I know that obviously attacking is a bit harder here. Defending, it's an easier position to be in. But I was kind of hoping for, I know you guys touched on it with the aggressiveness on the attack. And I just feel like Penta was maybe a bit too slow on the attack in a few of those rounds and kind of, fighting against the clock as much as they were fighting against the other team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the hard thing about Siege, and it's one of the most common cited things, is you're actually always against 2 enemies. Sometimes 3, depending on the psyche of the team, being yourselves. But you're always against your opponents, and you're always against the clock, because that is what Aroma does. They eat the amount of time. They eat the comfort. They make you have a 5-second push take 1 minute and 5 seconds is Aroma's job well done, which we've seen Midnight doing, getting frags, pulling off, rotating, pushing back from a different angle, causing them unrest, which also allows the core defense of T3H to battle back and bounce back against that. It's really, really nice defending so far from them.
Now, it was interesting too in that second round. It did look like, T3H was going towards another flawless round. But I did like that DV had that kind of bit of a pushback. Obviously, still lost the round. But did you see something there in that pushback that maybe gave them a glimmer of hope that maybe when they switch to defense, they can turn this around a little?
I think there was some good adaptation in terms of operators and just being able to change up their lineup and their push. Like, just not wanting to do things that clearly don't work. Like, doing that gridlock take from Master clearly just wasn't working out for them. And so good from Penta to recognize that, change it up, bring a Havana, go for a study push instead. Obviously, that didn't work either, but I think they had a less of an issue pushing Roamers that time and actually focusing on the objective. But I think also from T3H recognizing in that kind of 6-pick phase what was being done there, what kind of different pushes being brought, what things they could have been brought better themselves. I mentioned in the first round that they defended that there could have been a lot more hard breach denial from their side, and they definitely brought it. They brought a mute and a bandit, and that definitely is something they needed. It seems like map control was just not in Penta's favor at any point throughout the round, and that's kind of been the pattern here. I don't know if you think that's true as well, Fluke.
Yeah, what you kind of got to look at on a defense and working out how tested it is what the anchor players are doing. Because if the anchor players are forced into uncomfortable positions, that means that your actual core defense is being tested. It doesn't matter how ridiculous a roamer's roam gets. It doesn't matter how wide or far or close or near or wherever they're going gets. But as soon as you start to see your echo, your kind of smoke, your core defense player pushed around, then the team is maybe in trouble. Then they're having to kind of adapt. I don't think the T3H players, their pedometers aren't getting many steps on the base right now. They're really not being pushed and knocked around. And I think that what we need to see from Penta TV, which we saw a little bit of in the previous, is just a bit more disruption to that core hold, a bit more kind of threat. We saw them bring a bit of Zephyr for some vertical towards the end of that. It unfortunately didn't get too much hits, but you're pulling them away. You're putting them in uncomfortable positions and get a bit of control that way before you can kind of cause the distraction and let yourself push around. Because all that does is, and I'm sorry to keep rambling, it allows the rest of your team a little bit more space. I'll stop.
Yeah. Sorry. Go on.
I was gonna say what was interesting to see was the pulse brought in that that second round there, obviously with that the nitro almost for the double kill, but they had the single.
Yeah.
And then, but it was also interesting to see that moving into the third round and seeing that pulse get picked right
I
off the
think
bat.
it's in the second round they went to a kitchen defense, and playing a pulse there is a pretty safe bet because she could just play below. She could be very, very, very safe down there, and she could just give all the info out to roamers. Then she's not going to get pushed down there because that's where the site is. I think it'd be pretty suicidal for the attackers to go and push that pulse early on. So yeah, it's a great opportunity to play a pulse. Obviously, getting to the third round, we went to a statue defense. Makes sense to run a pulse there, and we kind of mentioned about the jackal ban. We were expecting a lot of that kind of vertical C4 play. So it does make sense to run the pulse there. But that IQ, like great wallbang as well, but I think a little bit of info coming out from that IQ scanner as well is able to push. And also, like, I was expecting Midnight to be playing closer to that pulse, and it seems like T3H do not play their roamers together at all.
No, yeah, it was very wide, very kind of spaced, and I think that's one of the things that we've kind of lacked a little bit is those over-the-shoulder trades. Normally, when someone's going down, especially in that situation, we saw a bit of the buddy system there when they were pushing against the pulse, and then they had this habit of separating and breaking apart. But hopefully, Penta TV bring a little bit more kind of togetherness in this.
Well, let's see how it is going to be going down as we will move into round number 5. And we'll see exactly where T3H are going to go through.
Not
this
quite yet.
is not good.
They're the wrong sides. We will talk a little bit more first, unfortunately, as it's the joys of the rehost settings. But yeah. So I think one of the things that I would kind of want to see again, we've kind of talked about what Penta can do, and yes, they are down, and it's looked very good from T3H. But you can always kind of look at what you can kind of adapt and what you can kind of see, and I would love to see a little bit more kind of, as you said, over the shoulder from T3H, because the thing about Siege and getting confidence is it can always come back and bite you. And having overconfidence and having over rotations and having over that is you can kind of see it get a little bit more and a little bit more. And if anything, it was kind of good that they lost a person for a round, because you could see Midnight pulled back towards the point and she played with the rest of the team, and she kind of, not that she wasn't obviously in the previous rounds, but I think making sure that you don't lose yourself, because otherwise we're going to see more of those moments where the pulse got completely taken out. And if they keep losing those kills to just being a bit too far away or a bit too overconfident, that is how you start to lose rounds. And then when you start to lose rounds from confidence, it can really, really kind of impact you badly.
Yeah, I guess there is a kind of a momentum-based play. I suppose I always say this is kind of like an advantage of going into defense on the second half, because while you might be down pretty hard here, you're attacking one of the hardest maps to attack, and then when you come onto that defense, momentum is probably going to swing pretty heavily into your favor, and it can be pretty hard to come back from that, honestly. So yeah, I mean, it can be kind of like swings and roundabouts with momentum, especially with how defender-sided Villa is and how defender-sided Siege is overall, and definitely how defender-side we've seen these maps go. I don't even think this is T3H playing at their maximum. They definitely had some great intel. I think that's definitely been their strongest point, and their flanking has been good. But Romas have been playing pretty individually. We talked about Midnight a lot already, and I think, yeah, you are right. Like in round number 4, we just saw Midnight was playing a little bit more conservatively. We saw her playing around those main stairs, not allowing them to be too comfortable in the study area, not allowing them to push too heavily out of there, and always to be on that back guard. Because also, that hard breach now, like, it was a good call going study, a good call bringing Hibana and Thermite. Everything that that Penta did was a good call, but great reactions by T3H. But it looks like we're finally going to get back into the game now, and we'll see how things are going to go down.
Yeah, they're the right way around this time, which is always a nice thing to see. But 2 rounds left, 2 rounds in the defense of T3H. And there's a little bit of a sad apology there from our observer. It's okay, we forgive you, but the players may not. We've already mentioned the blood sacrifices that go on in this league. You don't want to become the next name on the list for the old-fashioned blood sacrifice list.
No, you definitely don't. But we'll see how it does go down. Dining room and kitchen defense is going to be the site of choice for T3H. Penta should be aware of this. Like, unlike in the second round, where this was kind of like a surprise site, they should be now aware that they're going to go down here, because they can't go statue yet, because of the objective rotation parameter. So Penta should be aware of this. Interesting Twitch pick from them.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I would kind of love to see is, obviously we've already commented on it, was, or I would have loved to see, was the IQ bought, because they know that they were playing Pulse, they know that they were feeding information, they suffered a C4 from this very thing, and this is the round that they've opted not to bring the IQ. So I can only assume that they're instead going to be pushing in a different manner. The same way, and to be fair, and we said it's one of the best things that Penta are doing so far, is they're responding. Well, they've started to push the previous point in a different way, and I'm hoping that they come at this with a little bit of a different swing. Yes, it's good to have the vertical, and you kind of need it, but at the same time, when they took a bit of surprise, when they're 3 operators down, and when they're pushing from aggressive new angles, Penta are finding some ground.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
Well, we'll see exactly what ground they are indeed going to find with it as we do move into round number 5. And again, talking about this pulse that Brimstone did bring up as well, that gives you a lot of info, and it is a very safe area to play that pulse in.
Yeah, it's the thing is, we've kind of talked about the comfort of the home territory players, and look at the roam here from Midnight, playing all the way on Classical 90 there. And they have operators in the middle, obviously they have Legion, and she's in a good position to kind of bounce back and forth. Struggle to get their drone at first, but this is a different push, and again, this is what I kind of wanted to see. They're adapting slightly different, they're pushing slightly different, and you know, for me, that's the sign of a good team, is the responses, or one of the signs of a good team is the responses that they can make when they are down.
So, see round number 5 getting underway, and we'll see what Penta really want to do here. Interesting Ashe and Twitch combo being ran here. Looks like, yeah, you got the Midnight. Not looking too happy about all of that situation up in Statue. I'm just going to rotate off and see where she can go through Mudroom. She did the exact same rotation last time as well. You can see that working out for Izzy. Still holding behind Statue. Go for the pre-fire. Sees the Twitch. Not happy about trying to take that gunfight. Echo Drone looking to support that right now. But very spread out attack from Penta so far.
Well, you can see a lot of pre-fires, a lot of pushes, trying to find the people out inside. Obviously, a fair bit of damage to the 2 players, and well, there's the end of it for Tafia's Panda. Finds the opening of this rehost side. Sunny with a great push there takes care of Izzy, and this is good shutting down, and I love the aggression that we're starting to see from them. Obviously, the Bandit is still kind of watching over the angle, but they've cut those roaming defenders in half now. They've taken out the middleman. Lua is going to be feeding that information. We saw her playing the Pulse brilliantly in the previous round and did get at least 1 C4 kill, but you can assume with how well Penta have been responding, they're going to be a little bit more aware of what's going on.
See a Pulse still playing below, serving up plenty of info to T3H, who still, for the most part, have done pretty well at delaying lots and lots of time here. Only about 35 seconds left to go on the clock, and Penta are not looking good here. They're looking very, very slow. They don't have a lot of control. They haven't managed to make their way into the site just yet. They haven't opened that laundry wall, and a lot of the objectives we expect to see from a team have not been accomplished just yet. Bastions are going to go down into the hallway, trying to get rid of any traps up in R. Connie trying to make her way through onto that R area as well. We'll see how that goes down, but Midnight with a flank, he's going to take the Thermite charge and the Thermite both on the board. She goes down, and Ista goes down with her as well. Panda's still holding onto the site, looks like, from the other side, as Midnight pushes in, confirms the kill, gets a double, but no, Panda's going to steal it, but Midnight closes it out with a kill into Sunny. T3H take round number 5, and they are looking flawless on this defense on Villa.
Midnight has not missed a step in that breather. My god, she is destroying this Villa so far. Okay, all the times we've kind of said it's nice to see them double up. At this point, I don't think Midnight needs it. Whatever spirit she is flying with, and that Jaeger barrel is doing absolute wonders so far today. And you've really got to give credit. And I'm assuming a lot of people are now going to be like, yeah, we don't really want to take her to Villa again. Trophy statuary for the last T3H defense. At this rate, I would struggle to see them drop it. They've been very consistent and very solid on this point, on this defense half so hard. And you know, it's just, I guess we'll see if they can kind of keep that momentum going when we swap to attack. And if the aggression can kind of work, because yes, solo roaming, if you go down, it's a bit of a problem, but when you solo push and go down against a defense that's good on a map that's great for defenders, it can really, really just take out the breath from your sails.
You come up with such great idioms.
You know, I ran home from work and sat down and started casting, and I still don't think I never do physical exercise. I play video games, and I think it's really made my body struggle right now.
Yeah.
So maybe when I calm down, I'm like throwing like 6 idioms into one sentence right now, like a deck of cards. Checkmate. But here we see the final attack round from Penta DV. They've opted for the single destruction. They have the Ash as well as the Sophia, I believe, for the first time, bringing the double soft and trying to get a bit more open and a bit more sightline and a bit more vertical, which I guess is a good thing for when it works. But so far, we've not really seen it work too well for them.
Yeah, I think Penta have had a pretty spread out attack overall, honestly. I think they did a little bit better last round, but don't think they really have a great idea of how they actually want to attack that laundry side. They don't go for the laundry wall, go for the opposite wall. Regardless of that, they haven't controlled the roam as well throughout the map yet. But I guess we'll see how this round does go down. The statue definitely been one of the closest rounds they've had. And we'll see how this rest of this does go down. Panda still holding on. It's looking to peak out at 90, but I'm not sure if this is a great place for Panda to want to play, because she doesn't have a lot of info out of this, normally where a Legion or Maestro might play.
Yeah, it's peculiar to kind of see that MP7 trying to pick those fights. There's a lot of better operators and better guns that you could kind of throw, because it is just a straight corridor. You bring in ACOG, you bring the sightlines, and you can bring a lot more kind of destruction, but at this point, you struggle to kind of see why. And I guess, wow, just sprays the fight, takes it close, and I'm not really sure why they decided to push that so hard and so close and so aggressive. And Connie gets taken, I believe, from behind. That was Midnight, who is still on this rampage.
Yeah, this has been absolutely dominant for T3H so far. Panthers just seem lost right now. All down to the Thermite and the Zofia to try and make something happen. Sunny holding around here in the bathroom, see what she can do to try and push out to Astro. See what she can do. Still convinces someone behind this Astro desk, but this barbed wire is still in front of her, and we've still got a shotgun for that left side. Just holding on. Lua expecting that push. Tivy putting a Claymore down on that flank, but Midnight still up on that flank. It would look like she could still easily take out this Claymore and pressure that flank, but it's going to be Panda who is going to eliminate it. If he goes down, it's all down to Sunny. She's going to have to basically have this shotgun at a very close range. She's going to go in. The Legion Mine gets triggered. She's going to wait for a second. She's going to claim her in front of her. The shotgun is going to get triggered, but no, it is going to be from behind. She's going to go down. Lua takes it down, and T3H take round number 6.
There's that trusty English shotgun, famous for. You gotta believe in that shotgun. It's the one that the more you believe in it, the more range you get on the English shotgun. But we go into the swap of half. Only, obviously, in those last 2 rounds, one body picked from the lineup of T3H, and that was by Sunny. You know, this is an uphill struggle, however you look at it. Yes, they've just kind of taken 6-0. You are on the defense, you have that going for you, but every round is the match point round. You cannot really make the mistakes that you've kind of been making in the game so far, whereas T3H, they have a big buffer of being able to play. The big old bold 6th pick to Thermite, and I think they're ready to try and close this out if they keep playing the same way they've been playing.
We'll definitely see how that is going to be going down. But things not looking too good. I think at a 6-0, even though this is a very, very defender-centered map, you know, people would call this pretty much game, set, and match.
Yeah, because you don't just look at the 6-0, or you look at how well the teams have been playing. Because sometimes you'll see a 6-0 scoreline and it's really not that representative of the game itself. But at this point, T3H have just not really looked tested from my point of view. Penta, they've been making good adjustments and they've been making good changes, but it's just not really been enough to shake the core of T3H.
Attacker's objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it.
So, we'll see how this is going to be going down. So some pretty heavy roaming coming out from Connie here, just down all the way into the basement. And we'll see exactly what the attack plan is from T3H here. I do like the introduction of a Buck here. This is the first time we've seen a Buck today.
Buck is such a good operator on this map as well. It's one of the things about it
Bomb
is
has been
you
located.
often cite like Border as being maybe one of the most vertical obvious maps. You'll see it a fair bit on maps like Clubhouse occasionally, but for me, Villa has so many opportunities to do things like C4 loops or to bring Buck, and we saw it being kind of teased and tasted by Penta. But I'm hoping we start to see more and more pressure brought from that Buck, because you can really just open up, especially this point as well. It can become such a just shooting fish in a barrel that is somehow above you and not like falling out onto your face. It's a beautiful, beautiful avenue for destruction.
Well, we'll see how that is going to be working out. There's definitely a lot of vertical play here on Villa that can be abused. It's like Midnight and Panda working together to try and clear out this bottom floor. But Izza is on that flank
Attackers have
opportunity.
located a
This
bomb.
is dangerous right now. Izza in a very powerful position here to try and make a play. If she can take this book off the board early on, that could be devastating, and it is going to be. Izza takes down Midnight, and no refrag comes through from TDH again. Not playing too close together. Oh my god, what a shot from Connie! Panda goes straight off the board, and that's another roam clearer off the board from T3H. It's looking like a disaster for them.
Yeah, that was a really, really nice swing there from the Jaeger. And I guess they're kind of giving T3H a bit of their own medicine. She's on a sliver of health right now, but this is what Penta never really did, is T3H are cracking open the kind of core of the point. They're set up to frag against it. Yeah, the two operators down at this moment in time, but they still have this core to push against it. They have a little bit of flank watch as well with those tracks, and I think, you know, they're just making sure they've got a bit of safety before they swing around onto Classical. Now we're going to start to see if the hold of Penta can do as much work as the Roamers did before the Roamers get back. The Echo drone finding a nice suitable location. Lesions to get through as well. This is a pretty tough place to be in as they go for a little bit of a reshuffle. Not sure what the Jaeger's doing. There's 30 seconds. You may as well kind of throw a bit of chaos in, but, oh, well, maybe this is what they do. They're throwing two sets of tracks on that one stairway, and the push comes in. Lua pushes straight through, but there is the Legion waiting. Bites two, and there is a flawless round in response, making it 6-1.
Yeah, first round on the board from Penta. Looking much, much better from them. Great roam game coming out from them. Really poor roam clearing coming out from T3H. I really thought they'd be playing closer together. I think that's kind of the issue they were having on their defenses. Is T3H were just not playing close together whatsoever. We'll see how things do go down as we progress through. But I think at this point, a lot of people will say, okay, you know, Penta Divina just had a really good round there. And, you know, Trophy Statue might also go for their way as well. That's a core site as well. Very easy to win the core sites on Villa. But then you have to go to an offsite. You have to go to either Library, which, as you said earlier, not a very popular site, or you had to go to Kitchen, much more popular site. But both offsites, both much harder defenses.
Yeah, and it's those are they're the swing sites. They're the ones where that's when it becomes a little bit more shaky ground that you have. If a defense starts to suffer, it can really suffer, whereas on the others, you normally have a bit of the building itself just kind of aiding your defense. There's more to exploit for the attackers on those ground floor points. I guess we'll see if Penta can obviously keep that momentum up, but at the same time, we've said if an attack starts to struggle on this map, it can really, really struggle because there's still so much of it that is hard to control and hard to watch. And I'm still kind of surprised we haven't seen a Nomad.
10 seconds to insertion.
Yeah, you do really like a bit of Nomad on Villa, don't you?
5 seconds left.
Yeah, and both teams are obviously very capable at roaming, very capable at coming back around those staircases and picking and prodding from the sides. And I don't know, it's just for me on this map and in these kind of staircase and these positions, it's just a slightly better than Gridlock, I would say.
Roamers have definitely been a big issue throughout this map so far for both teams. So we'll definitely see what the response is from T3H and how they want to deal with that. But at the moment, they seem pretty content with their current lineup. So bringing that same lineup, I really do believe in the potential of the book here. I just think that if Midnight wants to be effective here, she has to play very, very close to Panda, and vice versa.
Yeah, the thing about kind of over the shoulder cover and all that kind of balance is as soon as that starts to break down, as soon as you throw yourself into 1v1s, everything starts to pull apart, or it has the potential to pull apart. It just means there's an added risk and an added element of you don't really need to do this, because if you can pick off the trades and end up taking care of the roam clear, which is normally going to be significantly less heavy than what is pushing against the point. Wow, that is that is an elimination for Mozzie there as she suffers and gets taken out. Connie is close and is trying to rotate and creep a little bit closer, but Panda is aware of this pressure, and Connie is the one that's going to win it out. Again, Jaeger has had a great showing for both sides so far. He's going to creep via living around to Mud and try and find another point of attack. But at the same time, T3H are wasting no time. They're cracking open. They still have Izzy covering those long sight lines. Sunny is going to pull up closer as Connie's going for a bigger rotate around White. And Tiffy is the one that's finding themselves in astronomy with a little bit more pressure.
So lots of drones going out here. T3H still gaining a lot of control over Master, and Aztec wanted to get all the way up. Tracksingers are going to go down into the bathroom side as Tiffy is still moving a Echo drone back into position, but a great opening frag from Aztec may just be the opening that T3H need to make a plant go down. Here's about a minute left to go on the clock, and another frag from Aztec is definitely going to put T3H on the board here. Lua looking to try and get something open here, potentially. She does still have Diffuser in her hands, and Connie, playing a little bit of a long angle, notices that someone is pushing up Red Stairs. It could be Midnight, engages, but takes her down. Connie still holding down onto Red Stairs, but Thermite Charge is going to open up onto that statue wall. Tiffy trying to get a little bit more aggressive with things, but Aztec, you hear that M249 just flailing around, just trying to get her entry through onto Asher. Not a lot of info coming through for T3H right now, but that will be justified as another drone does come through. So on to Tiffy now, and a drone is going to spot her through into Astro. 20 seconds left to go on the clock. She has the opportunity to deny the plant here. The M249 just spraying down. It is going to be Aztec that takes her down with a 3K on the round. And T3H take Ranaberry, and they'll take the map 7-1.
Well, it was very, very well played there from T3H. Obviously, they did drop the one round on the swap over, but it was on the hardest side to push. And I think we saw a great showing there from the team.
Yes, definitely a great showing indeed. Definitely the win that T3H needed. Obviously, we did have a rehost, but definitely